The lights flickered again. Eli Grant stood alone in the dark hallway of Station Echo 9, a research station orbiting the cold, dead planet. The air smelled like metal and dust. His heart beat faster as the emergency lights blinked red, casting long shadows on the walls. Something felt wrong. He looked down at the small black case in his hands. It was cold and heavier than it should be. Inside the case was the alien book, the one everyone said should never be opened. 3 days ago, a mining crew found it buried deep inside the wreck of an alien ship under the planet's ice. The ship was dead, but this book was not. The moment they touched it, systems on the station started glitching. Lights turned off by themselves. Doors refused to open. People had nightmares, dark, cold dreams full of whispers and shadows. And now, Eli had the book. He walked into Lab 6, a quiet, sealed room at the back of the station. Only he had access. He placed the case on the metal table and opened it slowly. Inside was a thick object wrapped in black silk. He unwrapped it. It was not made of paper, not even metal. The book felt alive. Its cover was smooth and cold, like stone soaked in ice. There was no title, no marks, no known language. Just strange shapes carved deep into it, shapes that moved when he didn't look directly at them. Eli's breath caught. His fingers hovered above the cover. He had spent 15 years studying dead languages. He had read the first Martian codes, cracked Titan's bone scripts, and even helped decode the silent words of the Virex. But this this was different. This book didn't want to be read. They told him not to open it. The lead scientist, Dr. Harrow, warned him. The last team that touched it. One of them is still in a coma. The others just vanished. Don't be stupid, Eli. Burn it. But Eli COULDN single quotes to Dot. He needed to know what was inside. He touched the cover. The moment his skin made contact, the room went dark. The lights blew out. The air grew cold. And then, softly, like someone breathing into his ear, "Hello, Eli." Eli jumped back, heart pounding. "Who's there?" Silence. Then the lights came back on, slowly, one by one. But something was different. He looked at his hand. There was a glowing mark on his skin, a symbol from the book. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Eli stared at it, breathing fast. He should stop. He should call someone. But instead, he sat down and opened the book. The pages were not like any book he had seen. They were thin, black sheets that shimmered like oil in water. Symbols danced across them, some twisted when he blinked. Some seemed to stare back at him. He couldn't read them, not yet, but he felt them. And then, as if something inside the book wanted to be known, the first page changed. The symbols moved, rearranged themselves, slowly forming a pattern. Eli began to copy them down into his datapad, one by one. He didn't notice the time. Hours passed. The cold didn't bother him anymore. The whispers in the room grew louder. But he didn't care. "Well, for Hosen, have listen, Arva, and become, He dropped his pen. Who said that? No answer. But the book flipped a page on its own. His datapad flashed. The symbols he copied had translated, at least part of them. The eye must open. What eye? He whispered. No response. He stood up, backed away from the table. The air felt thick, almost solid. He opened the lab door and ran to the hallway. He didn't sleep that night. In his bunk, Eli stared at the ceiling, hand over the glowing mark on his skin. His dreams were strange visions of stars exploding, cities burning, and a tall, shadowy figure watching him with eyes like mirrors. He woke up sweating, heart racing. Something had changed inside him. The next day, he went to the main control room. The other crew members were quiet, tired, pale. A woman named Riley, one of the engineers, looked up at him. "You touched that thing, didn't you?" Eli blinked. "What?" She stepped closer. "I can see it on you. The glow, the way you look." Now you should have listened. Eli forced a smile. I don't know what you mean. Riley didn't smile back. Don't open it again. It doesn't like being read. But he did open it again. He couldn't stop each time he read a little. More. The symbols got easier to understand. His mind began connecting strange shapes and meanings. He saw entire alien histories unfold in flashes: wars, betrayals, ancient kings, and something else. A name. He heard it in his mind, again and again. He didn't know who, what that was, but the name filled him with fear. He looked in the station's records. There was nothing. No database had anything called Varrock Thune. But the book spoke the name like it was a god. That night, something even stranger happened. As Eli sat alone in the lab, copying another page, the lights went dim. The walls started shifting. At first, he thought it was his eyes playing tricks. But no, the walls moved. Symbols from the book began appearing on the metal, glowing softly. And then the whispers returned. Open the eye. Eli stood. What eye? What do you want from me? The book snapped shut. The glowing symbols on the wall went dark. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. Heavy, slow, metallic. Eli turned toward the door. It opened. But no one was there. Just a gust of freezing air. And a voice that whispered, Why, oh. Huh. A vumpor fuck. Furker fark. Fluck. Left the snuff. A vat. Nabud. Yuhu. Eli slammed the book shut, but it was too late. The next morning, a crew member named Tomas didn't show up for breakfast. They searched his quarters. He was gone. No trace. No blood. No signs of struggle. His last log showed him walking toward Lab 6, where Eli had been. Dr. Harrow confronted Eli. What did you do? She demanded. Where is Tomas? I don't know, Eli said. I didn't see him. You're lying. That book, this all started when you touched it. I'm trying to understand it, he shouted. We need to know what it is. No, we don't. She looked at him with fear. You've brought something here, Eli. Something that was never meant to wake up. That night, Eli locked himself in the lab again. He stared at the book. He wanted to throw it into the void. Burn it, bury it. But his hand reached for it anyway. He opened the book one more time. This time, there was no whisper. Only silence. And then, a new page. Blank. Slowly, words appeared on it, written in his own handwriting. Welcome back, Eli. Eli didn't tell anyone what he saw. Not about the glowing walls. Not about the voice in the hallway. And definitely not about the words in the book written in his own handwriting. But deep down, he knew something had changed. He was no longer just reading the book. The book was reading him. That morning, Eli sat in the cafeteria with the other crew members. The food tasted like dust. The voices around him were low, afraid. Since Tomas had vanished, the crew had grown quiet. Everyone looked tired, pale, nervous. Someone whispered, He's the one who opened it. Eli looked up. It was Lieutenant Jenna Vale, a security officer. She stared at him with cold eyes. He's the reason people are disappearing, she said louder. He brought that thing to life. Eli stood. I didn't do anything wrong. Then where's Tomas? I don't know. She pointed. His arm, what's that mark? Eli looked down. The alien symbol was still glowing faintly on his skin. Even though he had tried covering it with a patch, Jenna stepped closer. You've been hearing things, haven't you? Voices in your head. He didn't answer because she was right. That night, the voice returned. He was sitting alone in his quarters when the air grew cold again. The lights dimmed. And then, like someone standing behind him, the whisper came. I, Garfant fa, I sten. Eli turned quickly. No one was there. The voice wasn't coming from outside. It was inside his mind. He backed away from the mirror and grabbed the wall. What do you want from me? The voice was calm, deep, inhuman. Yo o punten. And Oh, understand. You will. Bia wiom astu. Mo ri. Eli didn't sleep. Instead, he returned to Lab 6, locked the door, and opened the alien book again. He flipped through the pages quickly. The symbols now made sense partially. They weren't just a language. They were memories. With every page, his mind filled with images. He saw giant alien towers floating in a red sky. He saw thousands of beings, kneeling before a tall figure wrapped in black and gold dot, and he heard a name repeated again and again. Varak Thun. Varak Thun. The God Thing, a voice in darkness, a creature that once ruled entire galaxies. Eli dropped the pen and backed away from the table. No, this can't be real. He checked the security footage again. No signs of Tomas, no logs, nothing. It was like the man had been erased, not just from the station, from existence. Later that day, he went to see Dr. Harrow in the medbay. I need a scan, Eli said. She looked at him with tired eyes. Now you're worried? Just check my brain. Something's inside my head. I need to know. She scanned him. After 5 minutes, she looked confused. There's a pattern, she said. What kind of pattern? It's like ... like something is rewriting your brain. Eli's stomach dropped. What does that mean? Your neural activity is changing shape, not damaged, but reorganized. Reorganized. By the book? That night, Eli had another vision. He wasn't asleep, but he wasn't fully awake either. He stood in a giant black hall. Tall alien pillars surrounded him. At the far end stood the same shadowy figure, the one from his dreams. It had no face, only glowing eyes. The same symbol that was on his skin burned bright on the figure's chest. It lifted one hand, spoke. Yo, you read the key. Yo, ra, dafagrina, dakr, este. Eli tried to run, but the floor cracked open beneath him, and he fell into darkness. He woke up gasping for air. Sweat soaked his bed. His ears were ringing. Then he saw it. A new page had appeared in the alien book on his desk. He hadn't opened it. He hadn't even touched it, but the page was there. The symbols were clear. They said, the first door is open. One must go. Eli stared at the page, breathing fast. One must go? Another person? Who? An alarm blared through the station. Emergency alert. Missing crew. Eli ran to the control room. Jenna Vale was shouting into the comms. We've lost another one. Riley. She's gone. Eli froze. No, not her. He had seen her just yesterday. Where was she last seen? He asked. Jenna looked at him with rage. Lab 6, near you again. Eli shook his head. I didn't do anything. She screamed before she vanished. Sighed. The walls were talking to her. I swear, I didn't. Shut up. Security guards grabbed Eli by the arms. Dr. Harrow arrived just in time. Let him go. He's not the threat, Jenna growled. He is the threat. Look at him. The crew looked at Eli. The symbol on his skin was glowing brighter now. His eyes looked ... different, like he had seen too much. Dr. Harrow sighed. Fine. Lock him in the medical room, just for tonight. Inside the med room, Eli sat on the bed, shaking. He looked at the mirror again. This time, it wasn't his own reflection staring back. It was the shadow figure, and it spoke. Onbawai onye. Tofu. Kof. Hova. 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 Mavo. Mavo. Nova. Why me? Eli whispered. Why are you doing this to me? I know, you lemma. I know. You be lewd. Way ogu my vi oike. Eli screamed and threw a chair at the mirror. It shattered, but the voice remained. Regan Mozam I Lee. You now Uh, Latma, uh, 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 yeah, Avaride. Ale was released the next morning, but the damage was done. The crew didn't trust him. They watched him like a criminal. The station was falling apart. Systems were failing. Temperatures dropped. Cameras glitched. And the nightmares were getting worse for everyone. Dr. Harrow called a secret meeting with the officers. "We can't stay here much longer," she said. "Something is wrong with the station. With all of us. We should destroy the book," Jenna said. Eli, hiding nearby, listened quietly. "If we burn it," Dr. Harrow replied, "we may never know what it really is." "And if we don't?" Jenna snapped. "We all die." Eli knew they were right. The voice in his mind whispered louder each hour. He tried ignoring it, tried shutting it out, but it always returned. Remembia. One night, as he sat staring at the book again, he noticed something strange. There was a page he had never seen before. It had been hidden. Invisible. He touched the corner, and the page revealed itself. His hands began to shake. Because on the page was a drawing of himself, standing in front of a portal, with 3 words underneath: "You will open it." The image on the hidden page did not vanish. Eli stared at it for a long time. His hands were cold, his mouth dry. There he was, drawn in sharp black ink, standing in front of a strange doorway. A portal. And under it were 3 alien words that he somehow understood: "You will open it." He closed the book quickly and backed away from the table. "No," he whispered. "I won't. I'm done." But the mark on his arm burned hot. As if the book disagreed. The next day, Eli avoided everyone. The crew barely spoke anymore. Tension filled the halls. People walked fast and kept their heads down. They all felt it now, the pressure, the strange cold air, the way shadows moved even when no one did. The station was sick, and it was getting worse. Later that night, Eli sat in the dark corner of his quarters. He hadn't opened the book again, but he could still hear it, the voice, the whispers, the dreams. This time, the dream pulled him deeper. He stood in a place that was not a place. A desert sky above him, but the stars moved like fire. The ground below was black glass. And in the distance stood a tower, too tall for any world, made of twisted metal and bone. Eli walked toward it. He didn't know why. He just had to. Inside the tower, he found walls full of symbols glowing, alive. They crawled like insects, speaking in whispers. Remembia. And at the heart of the tower stood a throne. Empty. Until it wasn't. From the shadows, the figure appeared again. Tall, wrapped in black and gold armor. No face, just light where eyes should be. Its presence made Eli fall to his knees, and it spoke. "I hem via verfa, tigok of mahof, afava, Iva follow." Eli tried to speak, but no sound came. "You opened the book, you carry the mark. Now you carry me." Eli stood shaking. "Why me?" Ya, nafa, na, because, yaza, Asia, visit, Whoa, RDS, Berkov, Pup, up. The world began to shake. Cracks formed in the tower. Fire rained from the sky. The throne room collapsed and Eli fell into blackness again. He woke up gasping, but something was different. He remembered the language now. Not just pieces. He could read the book. Fluently. And worse, the book knew it too. Eli opened the next page. This one had no symbols, only a single alien phrase, written in large bold lines: "Memory of the dead god." And suddenly his mind exploded with images. He saw a galactic empire, ruled by fear and fire, worlds kneeling before Varakthun, a being not of flesh, but of thought and will, a creature so powerful it wrote reality through language. It could create or destroy with a single word. It spoke in a tongue so old, so strong, that even stars bent around it. This was not magic. This was power through knowledge. Through reading, through language. But there was more. The other gods rose against him. And in the last great war, they trapped his mind inside the book, locked his memory in symbols, hiding him from time, waiting for someone foolish or curious enough to read it. Someone like Eli. Eli closed the book and stood up. His hands were shaking again. But this time, not from fear. From anger. Why me? He whispered again. Why do I have to carry this? The book didn't answer, but the walls did. They started glowing again. Symbols lit up, crawling across the metal like fireflies. T-hey. P-o-thu. Othos-all. Y-o-fof-mov-dover. The alarms went off again. Another crew member had disappeared. Eli ran to the bridge. The room was chaos. People shouted. Systems failed. Lights flashed red. Dr. Harrow was pale, holding a data tablet. It's happening again. Who is it this time? Eli asked. Lauren. He was in the engine room, just gone. Jenna Vale marched up to him, furious. This is the last time. We're jettisoning the book. No, Eli shouted. You don't understand. She pulled out her weapon. You've had your chance. But before she could say anything else, every screen in the room turned black, and a voice, not human, not electronic, boomed across the station. The gods boomed across the station. To do, sont, in at huffa, not electronic. Station shook violently. Gravity failed for a few seconds. People floated. Then crashed down again. Seal the lab, Jenna shouted. Shut everything down. But it was too late. Eli ran. He knew where it would happen. Lab 6. He entered, just as the last lights flickered. The book was open on the table. Pages flipped on their own, faster and faster. And on the floor glowing lines formed a circle. A strange doorway, spinning with symbols. Energy rose from it like smoke. Eli stepped closer. He felt pulled. Not by force. By memory. Like he had been here before. And maybe he had. Dr. Harrow and 2 officers arrived behind him. Step away. She shouted. I can't, Eli said quietly. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. He looked down. The book showed his image again, but now he was inside the portal. It was meant to happen. Eli took a breath and spoke the phrase he had seen in his dream. The alien words burned his throat as he said them. Vetheth, Tufa, Alanda, Ar-Ut. The room exploded with light. The circle glowed brighter. The portal opened. It was dark inside. A swirling mass of stars, symbols, and eyes watching him. Then someone screamed. One of the officers was being pulled toward it. Jenna tried to grab him, but he vanished into the portal. Gone. Dr. Harrow stepped back, horrified. Eli, close it. I don't know how. Yes, you do. The book flipped to a final page. This one had a symbol he had never seen before, bigger than the others, and under it, more handwriting, his own. Say the word, or it will keep taking. Eli stared into the portal. He could feel Varek Thun inside. Waiting. Alive. Watching. He closed the book. The portal shut instantly. The lab fell silent. Eli collapsed to the floor, shaking, covered in sweat. The mark on his arm faded slightly, but the voice whispered one last time before sleep took him. Why oh so la ma it was more. Oh, na kwa the chimbo. Oh, just beyond Kane. The portal was closed, but Eli knew it wasn't over. The symbols on his skin had faded, yes, but they didn't disappear. They pulsed slowly, like a quiet heartbeat, waiting to rise again. He sat alone in Lab 6, staring at the book on the table. It no longer flipped pages on its own. It just sat there, cold and silent. But Eli could feel it thinking, waiting. Outside the lab, the station was falling apart. Gravity glitches, hall lights flickering, 2 crew members missing, 3 more refused to leave their rooms. No one trusted anyone, and everyone blamed Eli. Dr. Harrow tried to stay calm, but she was scared too. He's bonded with it, she told Commander Strath. The book, whatever it is connected to him now. We should space him, Jenna Vale said sharply. Send him and the damn book into the void. Strath didn't answer. He just stared at the monitor screen showing Lab 6. Eli wasn't moving, just sitting there. Watching. In his mind, Eli could still hear whispers, but they were different now. Not commands, not threats. They were memories. He saw a world called Nadover, full of black trees and floating mountains. He saw a race of golden-eyed beings chanting around a large crystal. He saw them open a portal just like his, and something came through. Something they could not send back. He stood. Quickly. The memory vanished. He stared at the book. It wanted him to see, to understand, to learn. But the more he learned, the more his mind felt like it was breaking. Suddenly, the lights in the lab dimmed. The air turned cold again, and the shadows in the corners moved. Eli grabbed the flashlight, pointed it at the corner. Nothing. Then something stepped forward. It had no face, just a shifting outline, like smoke wrapped in glass. Eli froze. His heart pounded. It didn't attack. It just stood there, watching him. The door opened behind him. Jenna and 2 security officers rushed in, weapons raised. The shadow vanished. Where is it? Jenna shouted. Eli pointed. There was something here. Save it, she said. You're coming with us. Eli was taken to Detention Room 2, a small sealed chamber with no windows. He sat on the metal bench, thinking hard. Saw it, he whispered. It didn't try to kill me. It was waiting. For what? Dr. Harrow asked, watching him through the glass. Eli looked up. For the portal to open again. Meanwhile, the shadows returned, not just in the lab. All across the station. Were never the same shape twice. They didn't speak. They didn't move fast. They just watched. From corners, from behind glass, from ceiling panels, cameras caught blurry shapes. Sometimes just black smoke, sometimes glowing eyes. Then. The dreams began spreading. Commander Strath called an emergency meeting. We can't stay here, he said. This station isn't safe anymore. But where can we go? Asked Harrow. If we leave, we lose the book, the data, everything. We already lost 3 people. And if we don't understand it, Eli said quietly from the other room, we might lose more. Strath looked at him. Then explain it to us. Eli nodded. It's not just a book, it's a key to something older than time. That night, the first portal opened again, this time not in Lab 6. In the hydroponics bay. A green-lit room full of plants and nutrient tanks. The security footage later showed it. One moment, the plants were still. The next, the center floor cracked open and black light poured out. Then came the shadows. 6 of them. Tall, thin, no faces, just drifting slowly toward the door. The bay's emergency seal activated. No one entered or left. But the next morning, all the plants were dead. The air was cold as ice, and carved into the metal floor was the same alien symbol Eli had on his arm. Eli was released under watch. Dr. Harrow wanted answers. You said the portal was closed. I did close it, Eli said, but that was only one. How many more? I don't know, he said quietly, but the book does. He opened it again. This time, it flipped straight to a new page, a warning. One symbol glowed red, pulsing, like an alarm. Below it, written in the old language, They have crossed. They seek the door. Ele translated aloud. Dr. Harrow paled. They're not here just to watch. They're looking for something. Eli nodded. They're looking for a way back to him. Back on the bridge, the crew picked up strange readings. Gravitational shifts. Mass increases with no object detected. Like something invisible was moving through the halls. Eli checked the book. Again. Another page had changed. This one showed a map of the station. 3 rooms marked in black. 3 more portals. Where is the next one? Strath asked. Eli pointed. Cryo storage. They reached it too late. Inside, 4 frozen stasis pods had been shattered from the inside. No bodies. Just cracks on the walls, and handprints burned into the ice. Jenna pulled her weapon again. Enough. He knew this would happen. Eli raised his hands. I'm trying to help. She aimed. Give me a reason not to pull this trigger. The air grew cold. A shadow passed behind her. Everyone froze. Jenna turned around. Nothing. But when she looked back, Eli was gone. He didn't run far. He was in Lab 6 again, standing over the book. This time, he didn't wait. He flipped to the last visible page. A phrase stared back at him. Speak the phrase. Bleed the light. End the war. Eli frowned. What war? Suddenly, the lights in Lab 6 turned blue. Then purple. The air shimmered. And the wall split open. A new portal formed. Not round like before. This one was jagged, like torn glass. Inside was pure blackness. But from within, Eli heard something new. Not a whisper, not a memory. A heartbeat. His own. Copied. Louder. Faster. It was calling to him. He stepped closer. Dr. Harrow and Strath arrived seconds later. Don't. Harrow shouted. Eli looked back. I think it's showing me. What's next? What do you see? Nothing. But I feel it. He turned back and saw himself on the other side. A version of him standing still, eyes black, skin covered in full alien script. The version stared at him and whispered, I remember. Dio. Yo. Eli stumbled back. The portal snapped shut. The lab went dark again. Eli collapsed. When he woke up, the book was closed beside him. No new pages. Just one message, etched into the table itself. Only the eye can bleed the shadows. He whispered it aloud. And the lights on the station turned red. The lights on the station turned red. Every hallway, every room, every screen. Red. And then came the voice. Not from speakers. Not from inside Eli's mind. It came from everywhere. The fuck of never Commander Strath ordered a full lockdown. All doors sealed. All labs shut. No one moved without security. But it didn't matter, because the shadows moved through walls now. They didn't care about doors or guns. Or orders. Eli sat in the center of Lab 6, the book in his lap. His hands trembled, but he didn't let go. He had finally understood. The last message, only the eye can bleed the shadows. The Zill's not a thing, not a weapon. It was him, his mind, his Bayan. Not a weapon. A thin voice. His choice. He looked down at the next page. The book had written something new. Just 3 words. He is close. Eli whispered, who? And the answer came in the air. Around him, a deep voice. A voice he now knew by name. The station shook again. Violently. Lights exploded in the halls. The floor groaned. Gravity turned sideways, then snapped back. People screamed through the comms. Jenna's voice cracked. Something just tore through Deck 5. We saw it. It looked like a man. But it was not a man. It was the one Eli saw in his dreams. The dead god, the one who ruled with language and silence. V. R. Ek-THU, un. Eli looked in the mirror near the lab door. And his reflection blinked late. A second behind. And then it smiled. But Eli hadn't. His heart pounded. No, not yet. I'm not ready. The reflection whispered, Why, yay, UGDD. Now remember. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew tried to fight the darkness. Jenna and two guards fired at a moving shape. Near the cryo halls, bullets passed through. The shape vanished, reappeared behind them. One guard fell. The other froze, eyes glowing black. Mouth wide, screaming without sound. Jenna ran. Dr. Harrow ran to Lab 6. She banged on the door. Eli, we're losing people. Do something. Eli looked up. He was pale, sweating, eyes bloodshot. There's one page left, he said. And read it. Eli opened the final page. The paper was not black like the others. It was white. Blank. And slowly, symbols began to appear. They wrote themselves in his language, human English. You must go to the center, where he was buried, and speak the unword. The center? Dr. Harrow asked. Eli stood. The core of the station. Strath's voice came through the speaker. What's down there? Eli said one word. The gate. They moved fast. Jenna didn't trust Eli, but she followed. Her team was broken. She had seen things that made no sense. Things that should never live. The remaining crew followed them down to level 0, a hidden maintenance level near the gravity core. Almost no one ever went there. Now they all had to. The hallway was long, cold, and silent. Frost covered the floor. The lights flickered red, then purple, then died completely. Only their flashlights remained. Eli walked ahead, the book still in his arms. He wasn't scared now. He was focused. They reached the core. And there it was. A door. Not built by humans. It had always been there. Covered by metal, sealed by code. And now, open. Symbols glowed across it. The same ones. From Eli's dreams. The same ones on his skin. The crew stood frozen. Jenna raised her weapon. If anything moves, I shoot it. Eli stepped through the door. The room inside was massive. Empty. Except for one thing. A stone circle, 10 meters wide, floating in the center, covered in living symbols. They pulsed like veins, and on the far side of the ring stood a man. Or what looked like 1. Tall, wrapped in black and gold. No face, only eyes that shimmered like burning glass. VARX-THU un. He spoke. Well, is a floss to read. I thought forward. You're already free. The god nodded. Budengo, plifa. What do you want? Tahor. To ofa fan I shekword. Eli looked back at the others. They waited at the others. They waited at the edge of the door. Scared. Ready to run. He turned back. Held the book high. You put your mind in this. Your power, your memory. You used me. And a yovel loot. Ellie nodded. Then dropped the book to the floor. Opened one last time. Symbols leapt from the pages, floating in the air. Forming a circle. And Eli began to speak. He didn't know where the words came from. They burned his throat. They cut his lungs. But he spoke them. Anyway, the unword. The one the gods feared. The one that ended galaxies. The moment he finished, the air exploded. Light and shadow twisted. The god screamed. Not with pain, but with rage. He lunged forward, but the symbols held him back, pulled him inside the stone circle. The ring spun faster, and the shadows bled away, one by one. Until the room was empty. And the god was gone. Eli fell to his knees. Smoke rose from his skin. The book turned to ash. The symbol on his arm vanished, and the air went silent. Jenna ran forward. Is he alive? Dr. Harrow checked him. He was breathing. Barely. Eyes closed, but a small smile on his lips. He had done it. The door was closed. The god was gone. They carried him back to the upper decks. The station lights turned white again. The air warmed. The shadows never returned. Days passed. Repairs began. Crew members slept again. No more whispers. No more voices. One morning, Eli woke up in med bay. Dr. Harrow was there. He looked around. Is it over? She nodded. I think so. He smiled. Then, it's time to forget. She frowned. Forget what? Eli looked at his arm. The mark was gone, but he still remembered. Eli was awake now. He had survived. The god was gone. The book had turned to ash. The station was quiet, but inside Eli's mind, something still whispered. He walked alone through the halls of the station. No more alarms. No more flickering lights. The air was warm again, but he could feel it. A silence that wasn't peaceful. A quiet that hid something. Jenna avoided him. Strath barely looked at him. Only Dr. Harrow checked on him each day. You've changed, she said once. I know, Eli replied softly. You speak less. That's because the words are dangerous now. A week passed. Everyone thought it was over, until the message arrived. It was not from any known channel. No ship, no planet, just a signal bursting through every screen at once. Black background, red letters. Tu, vo, ardivis, was okay. Oof, that's what, now, that's a, nah. Strath stood from his chair. Who sent this? No one knew. The signal had no origin. Not even the AI could trace it. Then the lights flickered, just once, and one crew member collapsed screaming, blood from his nose. Eyes wide. He kept shouting one thing over and over. I heard the words. I heard them again. Eli ran to the med bay. Saw the man strapped down, shaking. He leaned closer. What did you hear? The man gasped. The last word you said. It's still echoing. I can't forget it. Eli stepped back. He understood now. The unword was still alive. Not in the book. Not in the god. Inside them. Inside the crew. That night, Eli locked himself in the old lab. He sat in silence. Eyes closed, but the words came anyway. Not alien. English. Full sentences forming on the walls. Written in frost. Sentences he had never spoken. Sentences no one should ever say. Words are not only read. They live. They grow. The god was memory. But memory has roots. Every seed you planted is now a tree in someone else. Eli covered his ears. No, I ended it. Suddenly, the lights in the lab flashed. A voice echoed through the speakers. Not the god, not human, a new one. Oh, we are. We a. No be Outside the lab, more strange things started happening. Crew members began sleepwalking. They wrote symbols on walls, on tables, even on their skin. One man tore out the ceiling panel and scratched ancient letters into the pipes. They didn't remember doing it. But the words were always perfect. As if someone else wrote through them. Dr. Harrow called Eli. Whatever you unlocked. It's spreading. It's not the god, Eli said. No, it's the language. Elim met with Strath in the command room. I think I know what's happening. Explain. When I spoke the unword, I didn't kill anything. I freed something. Strath frowned. Freed what? Eli looked around. The original language. The one that shaped reality. It was locked for a reason. Then something terrifying happened. One of the screens cracked. It showed a page. Not code. Not data. A page from the book. But no one had uploaded it. The screen kept flashing the same phrase. Suddenly, the station's doors opened by themselves. Not all of them. Just the old cargo bay. Inside was something new. A shape. Cube. Black. Floating. covered in glowing white letters. No one had seen it before. No ship brought it. No sensor detected it. Ellie approached. His skin burned the closer he got, but the cube called to him. The letters twisted into English again. "You called," we answered. He turned to the others. "It's not over." It never was. That night he dreamed again, but it wasn't the dead god. It was the origin. He saw a giant library floating in space. Shelves, taller than planets. Books glowing with power. Each word inside could build or break a world. And he saw beings with no faces, made of pure light, speaking in tones that cracked stars. And then he saw a sign above the first book ever written. The first word, "Never speak it." Eli woke up gasping. His arms were glowing again. New symbols had appeared on his skin while he slept. This time, they were moving. Shifting. And one word burned brightest. He didn't say it. He couldn't. But he knew it. A word that didn't mean anything because it meant everything. He went to Dr. Harrow. "If I speak this word, what will happen?" She looked scared. "You tell me." He looked at his arm, then at the floating cube. "It will open a path," he said. "Not to the dead god. To something older," she whispered. "Older than gods?" Eli nodded. "Older than thought." The station alarms rang again. The cube began to shake. A deep hum filled the ship, and on every screen, a countdown appeared. 0 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Eli turned to Strath. "I think it's counting down to a rewrite." "A what?" "Reality, memory, maybe even time itself." Strath stared at him. "And the word?" Eli closed his eyes. "If I say it, I can stop it. Or, I finish what they started." The crew stood together, watching the clock. Tick 0 o'clock. 2010. Eli stepped toward the cube. Dr. Harrow shouted, "Eli, no." He turned to her. "I've already read what comes next." He placed his hand on the cube, opened his mouth, and said the first word. The screen went white. The ship fell silent. Time stopped. Then everything collapsed inward and restarted. He was gone. No Eli. No cube. No symbols. And worst of all, no one remembered him. Only Dr. Harrow woke up in the middle of the night weeks later and found a sentence carved into her mirror. In English. In Eli's handwriting. The words still remember. And they're watching you now. No one remembered Eli, not Strath, not Jenna, not even the AI. To them, he never existed. But the walls remembered. Dr. Harrow sat in her room, staring at the mirror. The message was still there. The words still remember. And they're watching you now. She had checked every log. No one named Eli. No one accessed the book. But she remembered his voice, his fear, the burning mark on his arm. Something deep inside her whispered, "Don't trust what they erased." Outside her room, the station looked normal. Two normal. Crew members smiled again. The sky window showed calm stars. No shadows. No screams. But Dr. Harrow felt it in her bones. This calm was a lie. That night, she heard something in the vents. Not footsteps, not airflow, a whisper. A single word repeated over and over. Too fast to catch, but too real to ignore. She climbed up to the vent, flashlight shaking in her hand. She pulled the cover open. No one there. But scratched into the metal was a sentence. "Do you remember the first word?" She didn't sleep after that. The next day, she asked Commander Strath if they could run a full station scan. He laughed. "For what? Ghosts?" She didn't answer. He shrugged. "You've been stressed. Take a break. You've earned it." But something in his eyes looked empty. As if part of him was missing. Just like Eli. Later, Dr. Harrow went to Lab 6. It was sealed. Forgotten. No one used it now. When she opened the door, dust filled the air, and she froze. The table in the center was gone, but on the floor burned. Into the metal was a symbol. One she didn't know how to read, but somehow still understood. Eli was here. She turned around fast. And for a second, She saw him. Eli. Standing at the end of the hallway, wearing black, watching her. Then gone. The next day, strange things began again. A technician disappeared during a routine check, gone mid-sentence on the call. Only his tools remained. Another crew member woke up with a word carved into his palm. He didn't know how it got there, didn't even feel pain, but the word stayed. Open. Dr. Harrow knew it was starting again, but no one listened. The crew had been rewritten. Their memories wiped, but the walls still remembered. And now, the station itself was speaking. In the data core, the eye began to glitch. Small at first, then worse. One screen showed a line of alien symbols, then more, until the entire interface was unreadable. The ship's voice said, Eli, Eli. Then silence. The name was not in the system, but the AI still said it. Dr. Harrow printed every new symbol. The ship showed. She laid them out in her room, and something strange happened when placed in a circle. They moved. Not physically, but her eyes couldn't rest on them. They shimmered. Breathed. Spoke. And the center of the circle showed a new phrase. He is still between the pages. That night, she had a dream. No stars, no ship. Just a white room. And Eli, sitting in the center. He looked tired, pale, but alive. He looked at her and said, They think I'm gone, but I'm in the walls. The language never left. They erased me, but not the truth. They will come again. From the gap between meaning. She tried to speak, but her mouth wouldn't open. He leaned forward and whispered the final line. If you want to stop them, right. She woke up gasping. Her hands were shaking, but she knew what to do. She ran to the old storage room. Found a notebook, a real one, paper and ink, and she began to write what she remembered. Li. The book. The God. The undashed word. Every forgotten piece. Every whispered memory. And when she finished the last sentence, the floor cracked. Small section of the wall behind her desk peeled open. Not metal, not stone, like paper tearing in the air. Behind it, a dark space. Deep. Silent. And from inside it, she heard typing. Not keys, not human fingers. Pages turning. She dropped the notebook, stepped forward. The air smelled like old dust, like a burned library. Inside the dark space, floating, was a single page. Blank. Except for 3 words. Right. The gate. She touched it, and her body locked in place. Images exploded in her mind. The God, the shadows, the tower of words. And beyond them, others. Worse than Varrock Thune. Beings of grammar and time, of structure and silence. They had no names, because their names would erase minds. They were the true enemy, and the only defense left was language. The walls whispered again, but this time, it wasn't a warning. It was a request. Finish the sentence. Speak what was never spoken. Dr. Harrow grabbed her notebook. She began to write again. Only this time, not from memory. From the symbols in her dreams. And with each line she wrote, the station shook. Lights blinked. A new force woke in the walls. The original script, the living language. And as she wrote the final phrase, the notebook caught fire in her hands. Not hot. Just glowing. The symbols lifted from the page and spun in the air. They formed a lock. And then a door. On the last page, a message wrote itself. You remember, you are the next reader. And below it, the door must open once more. The door was open again, but this time, it didn't lead to shadows or fire, or gods. It led to a library. A floating place beyond space. Walls, made of light. Stairs, built from sound, and shelves that held books made of memory. Dr. Harrow stepped forward. She was alone, but not scared, because she finally understood. This was where Eli had gone. As she walked deeper into the strange library, the books whispered. Some spoke in alien tongues, others in English, but they all said the same thing. Every word changes the world. Every sentence opens a door. And some doors must never close. She reached the center. A giant podium stood before her, and on it, book, not old, not burned, but brand new. Its cover was blank, its pages empty. But when she touched it, the first line appeared. The final reader has arrived. Behind her, something moved, not footsteps, wind, but a shape made of letters, floating in the air, and then it formed into Eli. He looked real. He looked older, but it was him. He smiled softly. You remembered. She walked to him. What is this place? He looked around. It's called the Archive Between Worlds, where Forbidden's language lives. Why am I here? Because you did what no one else could, he said. You wrote truth after it was erased. She asked, then why didn't the gods stop you? Eli shook his head. Varek Thun was never the true danger. He was just a gatekeeper. Then what is? Eli stepped aside, and there, floating above the ground, was another being, no body. Only a shadow of grammar, symbols and rules, Doctor. Harrow couldn't understand it with her eyes, but her mind screamed one word: silence. Eli spoke quietly. It's not a god, it's the oldest law. The force that keeps language in chains. It doesn't want us to read. It doesn't want us to create, Eli said. It fears imagination, new words, new meanings. He pointed to the floating book. That's why this is so important. Dr. Harrow looked at the blank pages. Eli said, you must write the final translation. She whispered, but I don't know what to write. Yes, you do, he said. You've lived it. The floating being grew larger. Its presence shook the library. Shelves began to crack. Some books turned to dust. It moved toward them, but it couldn't touch the podium. Not yet, Eli said. The only way to defeat it is to finish the story. The one it tried to erase. Dr. Harrow sat at the podium. The book opened by itself. The pen floated to her hand, and she began to write. Slowly at first, then faster. She wrote of Eli, the alien book, the god, the unword, the silence, the walls, and the truth, that language was power, and those who feared it would always try to destroy it. As she wrote the final page, the being of silence screamed, not in sound, but in cracks across the sky of the library. The shelves broke apart. Words flew everywhere. But her pen did not stop. Eli shouted, finish it. She wrote the last sentence, and then the reader became the story. The sky shattered. Light flooded the room. The silence being was pulled apart into sparks of forgotten words. The library spun. The book slammed shut. And then everything went white. When Dr. Harrow opened her eyes, she was back on the station. In her room. Everything was as it was. But something was different. On her desk was the same notebook. She opened it. And saw the last sentence again, written in her own hand. And then, the reader became the story. Suddenly, the station's AI spoke. Dr. Harrow, incoming message. From who? From someone named Eli. She ran to the main screen. The message was text only. No sender. No trace. Just one line. I'm still writing. You're still remembering, and the story never ends. She smiled, tears in her eyes, because she finally understood. Some books aren't meant to be closed. Some readers are meant to write, and some words live forever. The end.